Hey everyone, what's up? This is Dr. Charlie Johnson, physical therapist. And in this video, I want to react to the recent, just amazing and totally raw slash authentic video posted by Goobie and Doobie. This is a sort of, I guess you could say retired, but not really neurosurgeon. A neurosurgeon who trained at MIT, spent his 20s devoted to learning how to become a surgeon, and then spent another 10 years performing spine surgery and then quit. Only to end up in the mountains and now helping people relieve suffering by sharing nature sounds, by helping people reduce stress, because he found that it was sort of, I won't put words in his mouth, but sort of a scam, was a very ethical and or moral dilemma for many people, the things that he was doing to them, because he recognized that spine surgery wasn't actually fixing the problem. All right, so his story reminds me of myself. And so there's many thoughts and feelings and emotions. And I remember after that video, I actually put a comment below his video, just feeling just super inspired, right? And feeling not so alone, because it's easy when you're in the profession of trying to relieve people's pain and suffering to, number one, link your sort of worth to your ability to relieve someone else's pain and suffering, right? So he mentioned early in the video that he was mentored and sort of brought up in a way such that his goal or his primary purpose was to relieve people's pain and suffering. And that can weigh very heavily on you. So there are many nights, just like I'm sure he dealt with, right, where you don't sleep because you're concerned about someone, or you want to find deeply a way to help someone and not just put a Band-Aid on things. And many people come to me as a PT who helps only people with back, butt, or sciatica problems, and that's how I relate to him. He treats people, or treated people, right, on the surgical side of spine issues, but I treat people on the natural side. And well, I'm thankful after watching his video that I didn't become an orthopedic surgeon, because as a doctor of PT, I have a lot more flexibility, right? A spine surgeon who decides not to do spine surgery, I guess you could say, isn't much of a spine surgery. Or you could say, right, in the case of Goobie and Doobie, that sort of heroic, right? Sort of really neat to see someone take a stand for what they know to be true, or what they believe to be true. And by the way, it's not just his belief. The evidence suggests, right, that spine surgery, that these x-rays, that the MRIs really aren't solving the problem. And so hopefully this is inspiration for anybody out there, again, just like he said, who's stuck in pain and looking for a permanent solution, want to avoid spine surgery, and or gosh, I think his message is broadly applicable to anybody who's doing something that they don't believe in, right? Any career or field of work, right? Or just anything in life, giving yourself permission to just be like, hey, I don't believe in that, and so I'm not going to continue doing that. Now, I've got this background here. I came to my own happy place, Goobie and Doobie. Goobie being the physician, right? Dr. Goobie. Doobie being the dog. Well, I have asthma. I am allergic to dogs. Maybe that's what I tell myself, but I'm allergic to dogs. And so no dog with me, just me in my own little happy place. We have a small plot of land here. I'm currently in one of the fields, so lots of nature sounds, also some beeping in the background as they're doing some work up there, so I apologize if you can hear that. But I took some notes here, right? So first things first, my background, again, I'm a doctor of PT. I won't go too much into it right now. I will later in the video, as I think it relates to what Dr. Goobie was sharing. But I dedicated my career in the last, gosh, since I was 18, so 18, 28, now I'm 34, right? So however many years that is, right? Many years to becoming the best in my field. So growing up, I had a lot of different mentors and was very active, so very athletic, and knew that I wanted to work with people. Again, I was into personal training, fitness, nutrition, all of that. Knew I wanted to be in the health field, and knew that I wanted to help people in some way, shape, or form. PT was just a natural extension of that. But long story short, had a mentor of mine, a high school guidance counselor, actually co-signed my loans to get into college to help me out. And so I paired this love for fitness, this love for helping people live their best life naturally, with this just sort of internal drive to give back, right, as others had given to me. I mean, how many people have a high school guidance counselor who co-signs their college loans, right? Not many, right? So coming from sort of a broken family and lots of kind of nasty stuff in the past, I'm just naturally driven to, maybe from a place of fear, maybe from a place of lack growing up, to sort of be the best, to make something of myself, maybe to prove to other people, maybe to prove to my parents, maybe to prove to others, maybe to prove to people like yourself that I know what I'm doing, right? And I figured it out, I made it, right? Whatever that means. And so Dr. Goobie, MIT trained neurosurgeon, right? Told a little bit of backstory. My backstory, just very briefly, is I got out of PT school, recognized that most people were okay with just giving the standard cookie cutter sheet of exercises, throwing hot packs at people. When I asked, well, hey, is there anything else we can do to help this person? They're not getting better, right? I would get frustrated. I would be up late at night trying to figure it out, trying to come up with new ways, constantly studying to find out if there was a better way to help people with back, butt, or sciatica problems. And eventually I got there. Now I'm here, and I'll share that. I'll close the loop at the end of this video. But a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of sleepless nights, still a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of money, right, went into an investment of trying to figure out how to best help people like you. And so after almost getting fired from multiple PT jobs because I wasn't productive enough, insurance pays for productivity, right? The more you bill, the more you do with someone, the more you get paid. Tell me that doesn't sound kind of backwards, right? But the more you do, the more you get paid. And so I wasn't a productive therapist, right? If I would give somebody one or two things to do and it's all they needed, then that's all I wanted to do. But again, that doesn't really fly when you have a sort of quota that you have to meet. And as a physical therapist, I can't say much about neurosurgeons. We get paid much less than neurosurgeons, by the way. The reimbursement has dropped over the years and continues to drop. And so it becomes harder and harder for, especially like the outpatient sector, where you go, again, if you have back pain, sciatica pain, something like that, usually your local PT, an office on the side of the road that you would see, to survive. And so what do? We keep increasing the volume of patients that we see. And, meetings, in the lunchroom become about which treatments reimburse or pay the most, not what's always best for the patient. And this was an ethical dilemma for me, right? And so that being said, I said, I've got to go somewhere else. There's got to be a better way to do this. I applied to what we call residency programs, which are specialty programs within PT. There's multiple specialties. And I got accepted to the University of Southern California, studied at USC, and still hadn't quite figured it out. But eventually, as we'll talk about here, sort of settled on what I feel is to be the ultimate solution for people with back, butt, or sciatica problems, or the best solution, all right? So of the roughly 238,000 PTs in the US, about 5,000 are residency trained, and within that, board specialized, so even a smaller number board specialized, and of those who only treat back, butt, or sciatica problems, so there's 2.5% of people are residency trained. We're talking maybe 0.5% of PTs. So I'd be in the top 1% of PTs, right? Very well trained, Charlie. But still, there was something missing. And just like Dr. Goobie said, he said, hey, I could help many people, but there are many more people I couldn't help. And even for working with the best of the best, the people who wrote the textbooks within physical therapy and working with all kinds of different practitioners, there was something missing, and I went on a hunt just like he did, right? So he mentioned a couple things. He mentioned, hey, his tools, if you were to cut, right? And to cut is to subtract or remove something. I at one point considered going the orthopedic surgery route because again, it's more prestigious. Maybe that's part of the problem that we'll see here as we chat through my reaction to this. But it was more prestigious, and again, maybe it would make me feel as though I had more authority in the healthcare system and that I had made even more than I have so far, but luckily decided not to do that. A few years after becoming a PT, I had a patient buy me a plaque, right, with some words or something like that, a quote, and it said, "Never cut what you can untie." And so I'm glad that I never went into cutting, right, when what we're finding now is that doesn't really solve the problem. And that's what Dr. Goobie was saying, right? He mentions a few things, right? So he mentions that a lot of people would come to him as their last hope. Now, I get this too, right? So a lot of people say I'm their last hope, and this is even after they've gone through surgery, right? So where does the last hope stop? I think that the hope is within you, and ultimately you watching is the only person who can heal yourself. Now, that being said, again, if someone comes to you and they tell you that you're the last hope to relieve years of pain and suffering, that weighs very heavily emotionally. And it's part of the reason that I bought this property right here, right? It's because I can listen to the birds. I can just kind of tune out. A bit stressful, evokes a bit of anxiety, and I never really consider myself to be like an anxious person, but definitely, right? And more people you come to you who are saying, hey, you know, heal me. Can you fix me? Right? You're my last hope. You're my last ditch effort. A little bit stressful. It's a little bit hard to detach emotionally from that kind of pressure, right? And what's interesting is that a lot of people see surgery, see spine surgery as the last resort, right? As if it's like the pot at the end of this rainbow. All right. So we'll go to the doctor, right? And we'll get some pills, and we'll get an X-ray, and then we'll go, you know, to get some PT. And if that doesn't work, then we'll get some shots, and then, right, pot at the end of the rainbow, we'll get surgery. And what's very interesting is that research does not show, right, in most cases that surgery is more valuable than no surgery. And so there is no hierarchy here, right? A lot of times people see orthopedic surgeons as like these people who know what they're doing, and they do know what they're doing within what they're doing, right? But a lot of it is done for the wrong reasons, right? Reimbursement, basically profit over people, and that's one of the reasons that it sounds like Dr. Goobie got out of it. And so orthopedic surgeons are just orthopedic surgeons, just like you watching this might be a mechanic, or maybe you also are in the medical field, or maybe you clean houses, or maybe you install hardwood floors, or maybe you cut grass. It doesn't matter, right? You are an expert in what you do. And again, PT has been shown to be equally as effective in many scenarios as spine surgery. And so a lot of people say, well, hey, if this doesn't work, then I'll go here, then I'll go here, then I'll go here, as if there's better outcomes and if that's the ultimate fix. But as Dr. Goobie alluded to, it's not the ultimate fix. It doesn't actually solve the problem, right? And he thought that if he did the perfect surgery, that people would get better, right? But he was fooled. So that's what he was led to believe. And a quick story about this. So because that's what he was led to believe, right? He did these surgeries and he noticed that, hey, even if I did the perfect surgery, it's not like I had the perfect 100% success rate outcomes, or probably anywhere even close, all right? And so what I've seen as a physical therapist is that many orthopedic surgeons, just like I'm sure many PTs, right, sort of have this hat on, sort of sit at the top of this ivory tower, right? As they are the ultimate decision maker. They know best about your spine and what to do and what not to do, but they only know spine surgery. And so if you don't want spine surgery, then why go see an orthopedic surgeon, right? If you know that you want pizza, why go down the street to the Mexican restaurant? Maybe they make good Mexican pizza, I don't know, right? Why go to the taco bar if you want pizza? Why, if you hate fish, right, would you go to the sushi shop? I don't even know if that's what you call it, right? It just would make no sense. And so, yes, orthopedic surgeons are good at doing surgery, but does surgery really solve the problem? It doesn't really solve the problem. And so what happens is that, again, there's this ivory tower of like, well, I did this spine surgery and I did the perfect surgery, and the person might still be in pain. And what then happens is that the PT and others, right, get blamed. Surgery takes image, surgery looks good, not my problem. I can't help you anymore. And the person, right, maybe you even watching this, believes that, hey, that surgeon knows exactly what they're doing and they did a good job. They showed me, they fixed it. Well, then why do you still hurt if that was the problem? And that should key you into maybe it wasn't the problem. How is it that we have the most advanced technology, right? We're here, I'm shooting this here in the US, right? But as the years go on, our technology, imaging technology, surgical technology, minimally invasive stuff, right, keeps getting quote unquote better and better. But the pain problem in this world keeps getting worse and worse. It's not the ultimate solution. Quick example here, prime example of this, right? Surgeon says, I did my duty. Not my fault, not my problem. Look, I fixed it. I couldn't be the reason for why this person continues to hurt or for the outcome. First year out of PT school, I had a woman, it's the first time I ever shared this, attempt to file a claim against me saying that I retore her rotator cuff. Okay, I was the reason for her persistent shoulder pain. Nowhere was it ever documented that symptoms were worse during a treatment session with her. The treatments were very gentle. There was no flags there of anything, and I would never intentionally do anything to harm anybody. Doesn't mean that I couldn't, right? But by doing motions that feel good and just following the process, right, the chance that we would do any harm to someone is very low in this case. And nothing for years, of course, after we worked together. And of course, a very good surgeon, right? This is the best surgeon around, so they couldn't have screwed up. When in actuality, the surgeon just had a poor choice or made a poor choice with regards to the candidate they did surgery on. So this person that I'm talking about, overweight, smoking, drinking, was never in good shape in their life. Nothing against them personally, but just uneducated, low income. And these are some of the predictors of people who are, as Dr. Goobie said, not going to do too well. People have low social status, lack of support systems, who have poor diet, who are overweight, who smoke, who drink, who don't have the best lifestyle behaviors. These people just aren't going to get better. And so doing surgery on someone who already is set up for a very poor outcome is an irresponsible decision, right? But again, it's easy to pass the buck, all right, and say, it was Charlie, or it was this, or it was that, right? And oftentimes the person won't blame the surgeon, all right? So Dr. Goobie is a very wise surgeon, I would say, from what I saw in this video, right? Despite the perfect surgery, he realizes patient outcomes weren't perfect. So he recognized that surgery was a temporary fix. And a lot of people reach out to me and say, Dr. Charlie, well, what are the chances, right, that surgery is going to help? It's like, well, the same chances that anything else would work or would help, right? So any given outcome can either result in you feeling the same, better, or worse. Same, better, or worse. So there's 3 possible outcomes. There's 100% possibilities, right? So we've got 33.33% chance the surgery will work. There's a 33.33 chance that it'll keep you the same, not work, and equal that it could make you worse, right? And he used this analogy I thought was really powerful. And here's the deal. The reason I'm so grateful for him putting out that video is because you know that if there's one of him, there's probably millions of him. I don't know how many neurosurgeons there are, right? But he felt torn. He was sticking in the neurosurgical job after some time, after he really understood and came to the conviction and understanding that surgery wasn't really solving people's problems. And obviously he took a stand by quitting. But he was probably making good money and able to support his family, but he couldn't sleep at night. And that'll kill you faster than anything, and he recognized that, right? But he used this analogy to describe spine surgery, which I think is really useful. He described this analogy of there being a leak in the roof. So you have this house, the roof is leaking, water's pouring in, and of course, it's messing up the drywall, it's creating mold in the insulation, it's messing up the floors, all these different things, the wood, etc. And he likened spine surgery to going in there and taking stuff, cutting stuff out, but never patching the leaky roof, right? And so that's what I found to be true too, right? Is that you can go ahead and you can do a knee replacement surgery, you can do a hip replacement surgery, you can do a spine surgery, but if you don't address the root cause, and what I mean by that, to be specific, is if you don't address mentally or physically what's contributing to the problem to begin with, then the problem's not going to go away. And you shouldn't be surprised by that, right? Imagine, right, a handyman who knows that he replaced the drywall, sees the leak in the roof, and then charges someone and says, hey, drywall's fixed, I did my job. This is what I believe surgeons do in many cases. Obviously, there are cases, right, where spine surgery might be necessary, traumatic case, etc. But I would suggest that the majority, I don't know, 90% or so, I don't have any stats for that, right, are unnecessary. And so how is it, if Dr. Goobie couldn't sleep at night, knowing that he wasn't really solving the problem, he was that handyman who was saying, hey, your drywall, it's all moldy. I see the leak. I'm not going to tell him about the leak. That's the root cause. I'm going to just fix the drywall and charge people for it. If he can't sleep at night, knowing that, then how can other surgeons? And again, if the world found out about this, right? If insurance companies were on board with this, if nobody made money from these things, 90% of this stuff, 90% of the surgeries, 90%, 95% of the x-rays, MRIs would be gone. They wouldn't be necessary. It would disrupt the system too much, though. Imagine a doctor who gives insulin to a person with diabetes and watches them walk in eating a donut and walk out eating a donut and doesn't say anything about that. They just say, hey, pay me. You just want insulin. That's my job. I just give medicine. That's all you told me you wanted. And knowing that you're not really solving the problem. I would almost go as far as questioning. Is it criminal to perform surgeries on people who you know do not need them and who you know it's not really solving the problem? Now, you could say spine surgery is elective. I didn't force them to. You may not have forced them to, but you freaked them out. You showed them their x-ray, you showed them their MRI. We know that people who get spine surgery, people who get x-rays, MRIs, do much worse than people who don't get those things. But because you've been led to believe that that's what you need, you'll do that before you would ever work with someone like myself. Dr. Charlie, before I can work with you, I was told I've got an x-ray coming up in 2 weeks. I want to see what that says. What if your surgeon told you that that MRI, that x-ray was a bunch of BS, that it's highly up to interpretation of the radiologist, who almost never chats with you, by the way. The person who's describing the picture, the x-ray or MRI, almost never chats with you personally, nor do they know much of your history. They definitely don't know about your social support. They definitely don't know about if you're stressed. They definitely don't know about your job. They just know that you hurt. And well, doctor makes money off x-ray. Doctor makes money off MRI. Doctor definitely makes money off spine surgery. Biggest predictor of spine surgery in a study done a while back, I believe on some Medicare folks. Location. Wherever you get paid the most money, wherever you live, higher volume of spine surgeons, yeah, your chances of spine surgery go up because that's what they do and that's what they get paid to do. Now, this isn't every spine surgeon. I'm sure there are spine surgeons who are very conservative. But guess what? If they don't do spine surgery, they don't get paid. So there's an incentive there, right? And ethically, that's a massive dilemma, okay? And so maybe the surgery treats the disc, but what caused the disc problem? If everything else in the body heals, why wouldn't a disc? And Dr. Goobie went on to say there are people who he would set up a surgery with, and then they would cancel because he was booked out 3 to 4 weeks, and they would cancel. He saw this massive disc herniation on an image, and yet the person's pain got better. If you cut your finger and it can heal, if you break a bone and that heals in 6 to 8, maybe 12 weeks, if you have all these other things in your body to heal, why wouldn't your disc heal? Because we've been led to believe that it maybe can't. Or again, we've been shown that MRI or that x-ray, it shows a massive disc bulge and freaks us out. So the first thing we do, in line with Dr. Goobie's analogy, is you've got to optimize the healing environment. The leaky roof. Mentally and physically, habits, routines, things you don't know. That's why the disc is probably having an issue. That's why your arthritis might be forming at a faster rate than it does for some people. That's why every time you bend down, you hurt yourself. Could you bend a little differently? Could you move the load a little bit closer to your body? Could you reconfigure your workspace so you're placing less stress on things? Speaking of stress, are you someone who's a type A, get her done, figure it out, fix it, high stress, maybe anxiety, hypervigilant person? If so, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get stuck in problem-solving mode and fight or flight mode. And your brain's going to make a mistake. It's going to take that little back problem and it's going to amplify it. It's going to turn up the volume on your pain signals. You can do all the surgery you want. You don't reduce the stress. You don't reduce the fear. You don't reduce the worry. You don't reduce the anxiety. The problem's going to come back. Spine surgery can't do that. What does spine surgery teach you about how to solve your problem long term? Nothing. What do shots teach you long term about how to solve the problem? Nothing. They inject chemicals in your body and you either feel good or you don't. They cut something out, but the leaky roof is still there. It doesn't teach you how to eat differently. It doesn't teach you how to sleep differently. It doesn't teach you how to spend more time with friends. And so he recognized, right, that some people would heal naturally with bulging discs even before they would get to surgery. And he probably also recognized that many people have these problems, these disc problems, these arthritis problems, these stenosis problems, and they don't hurt. I mean, research very clearly shows that problems on x-rays or MRIs are not correlated to pain or symptoms that people feel. But that's what we've been led to believe we need. We need to find something wrong on the image and fix it. What if everybody has something wrong on an image? Is it a problem? No, it's only a problem if we make it a problem. And because people have bought into the medical system, because surgeons get paid to do surgery, do shots, order x-rays and MRIs, they do so unnecessarily. Again, my guess is 95% of the x-rays, MRIs that are ordered are done unnecessarily. Studies show that 60% or more, according to the VA, of images are unnecessary, overutilization of these things. I just had a guy right next door here. He's got a pain in his butt. No other problems. Nothing else funky going on. When he moves his hip a certain way, ow! Right? Very on, very off, very mechanical, very solvable naturally. No trauma. He didn't fall off a cliff or anything like that. Let's give you an x-ray. Let's expose you to radiation unnecessarily because I'm going to get paid for it. And by the way, what we're going to find isn't going to change your treatment at all because everybody your age is going to have the same problems that we're going to find. 0.5% of people, 0.6% of people, yes, might have a tumor. 2 to 5% might have some fracture, but there are signs of that. And we're trained as conservative care providers, PTs, to pinpoint some of those signs. Now, we're not perfect, but because 1 out of 100 people, 1 out of 100, gosh, 0.6%, that's 6 out of 1,000, so 0.6 people out of 100 might have some type of tumor or something like that. Do we give 99.4% an image because we're living in a place of fear? We don't want to miss it. Sure, it's defensive medicine. All right. And look, this really bothered him because he's like, wow, some of these people are getting better without me. And I do these perfect surgeries, and some people do really well, and some people don't. And so he started asking patients about their life, about their level of support at home, their relationships, their sleep, how they eat, all that stuff, right? And he found that people who got better, exercised, ate healthy food, had good support systems, they slept well, right? Hung out with friends, and they had less stress overall. People who didn't get better were just the opposite. And this was a major, he mentioned, aha moment, because he recognized that people who are a certain way heal. And not, this is key too, not just their back, but everything. Their skin was better. They had less digestive problems. Their hair issues were solved. The body was designed to heal. And this became a huge problem for him. Again, as a PT, I have the ability to pivot. So I help people, right, heal naturally using the power of their mind and movement as medicine. But he kind of just had a scalpel, and that was it. So he had the one tool to cut. Right? This became a huge problem because he recognized that the medical system is set up for profit, and that most of these surgeries were not necessary, and that if he just had people listen to nature sounds, he could potentially relieve more suffering than if he took a knife to their back. And so here we are cutting into, removing parts of people's bodies, saying you're fixed up and this problem is solved, and we've done nothing to patch the leaky roof. Again, which is why I'm so passionate about teaching people. Before we even start exercise, Let's start teaching people how to optimize their healing environment mentally and physically. How to do detective work to figure out what in their life is causing the problem to begin with. Yeah, you've got a disc bulge, but why did the disc bulge begin with? And there may not be some ultimate answer every single time, but why not try to get closer to the truth? Are we just looking for a quick fix? I would say, yeah, most of us are. Okay, so he said if you figure out a way to heal that does not involve pill shots or surgery, then the hospital and doc are in big trouble if you can't find a way to charge for it. Now, I charge for my services outside of insurance, by the way. Why do I do that? Because insurance dictates a lot of times what we do. Hey, we don't want to pay you for that. We think that's less valuable. We're going to pay you more for this. Oh, you can put a heat pack on someone, but you'll get paid double if you put a heat pack with those little TENS units. So well, let's do that. But what if we know that those treatments don't actually help people? And our time would be better spent educating people with back, butt, sciatica issues, how to sleep, how to move, how to reduce fear, stress, worry, anxiety, all those different things. Oh, well, we're not going to pay for education. You're going to have to buck the system and label that as something else. Not that they would ever tell you that, but that's what we would do. So how do we charge people? Well, by keeping people sick and convincing them that they need fixing. And if you can do that, you make money. And obviously he was ethically torn and just didn't know what to do. This is like a huge ethical and moral dilemma for him. And clearly, right, he sided with his ethics. He sided with like, hey, I just don't feel this is the right thing to do. And again, this is why it's so powerful and very valuable too for people like me who are on the natural side of things. And also reinforcing, right, that people like me, maybe we don't make as much money as a neurosurgeon. Maybe we don't have the accolades or the prestige of an orthopedic surgeon. So many people say, well, Charlie, so I'm a PT, I'm an orthopedic board, especially top 0.5% of PTs in the US. But I'm going to go to my primary care doctor and see what they say. Nothing against your primary care doctor. They don't know jack compared to an orthopedic PT like myself. Even an orthopedic surgeon. They don't have the tools, right? And or the time to sit down and educate you and do the detective work to understand the way the body moves, to understand the role of the mind on pain. You're going to them and you don't even want spine surgery. You went to the taco parlor, the taco bar, when you hate tacos and you know you want pizza. It makes no sense. And here's the deal. It's not your fault, but it's time to wake up and say, you're right. I'm going there. They don't even have what I want. And they're not better than anyone else. They're better at someone else at cutting things out of people's spines, but that's not really what I want to begin with. And they make money by ordering MRIs and doing spine surgeries and ordering x-rays. And so do they have my best interest at heart? Now, obviously, there's this oath of do no harm. Well, if you get an x-ray and MRI and your spine surgeon says you have the back of an 80-year-old, they just did harm. It's called nocebo language. Nocebo language, saying things, right, that is, in this case, going to have someone buy into a belief system or a narrative, which is going to make them worse ultimately. Is that what we're trying to do? No, but we can charge them. We can charge you if we highlight the fact that you have degenerative disc disease, you have a herniated disc. By the way, it's not just the surgeons. The chiropractor, this stuff gets me wound up too. And I used to teach manual therapy. I used to teach chiropractors, osteopaths, physical therapists, manual therapy, hands-on treatment. I used to do it with my own hands. I no longer do it. I don't believe in it. When I say I don't believe in it, the evidence doesn't really support it either. And it takes the onus off of you. It shifts the locus of control from internally to externally. That person is going to fix me. It's time to be accountable for our own health. You go to the chiropractor, and guess what? That chiropractor is battling the same things I am. We have to convince people for some reason that they don't need these silly surgeries, that they don't need shots, that they don't need to rely on pills for forever. So guess what? We come up with all kinds of fancy course names. Active release technique, Graston, instrument-assisted soft tissue immobilization, shockwave. There's all kinds of shock things out there. DRX 9000 traction machine. All kinds of gadgets to release your hip flexors, release your spine, all kinds of different things. It's all made up. It's all made up marketing and propaganda to sell the service, and it's based in fear. It's based in, if we get you to buy into this, free x-ray, free radiation. Who would buy that? Nobody. If we can touch you in certain ways and tell you that your hip is out of alignment, that your pelvis is out of whack, that your spine is screwed up, that you're not holding your adjustment, that you're tight, that you've got knots everywhere, that your pelvic floor is this, that your SI joint is off, guess what's going to happen? You're going to believe that we know what we're talking about. We don't. The evidence clearly shows that we do not have the ability to feel what's going on with people. Heck, x-rays and MRIs can't even tell what's going on with someone. You're telling me that my hands have like this magical power, right, to figure out what bones are aligned and not aligned? It's all fake. It's all front. That unfortunately, people in pain buy into because they want relief so desperately. When again, there is no quick fix. There is no quick fix. And so that's why I got out of manual therapy. I couldn't tell people, oh yeah, I'm feeling this. Here's what I told people. What are you feeling? I don't know. Does it hurt there? It hurts. Does it hurt when I press there? Yeah, it hurts. What are you feeling? I don't know. And how many people want to see a PT who says, well, I don't know. But it's true. Your chiropractor doesn't know what they're feeling. Your massage therapist doesn't know what they're feeling. They tell themselves they know what they're feeling, but the evidence suggests that they do not. The reliability, the validity, the ability to tell what's going on with people with our hands is not good, folks. Forget about it. The person that you're seeing, if they're telling you, if they're fueling that narrative that you're broken, that something's wrong with you, ask them to show you the evidence, show you the research. And by the way, if you do get some temporary relief from them pushing on things, what do? You buy into it. Oh, see that thing, my hip was out of alignment. No, it could have been anything. It could have been the fact that you just liked that person who was providing the care. Could have been a sunny day. Something maybe you had a good night's sleep. Maybe you were out in nature. He just could not keep doing spine surgery knowing deep inside that it wasn't fixing the problem. And again, this is why I don't take insurance. I don't want insurance dictating what treatments, even just the slightest bit, planting a seed in my mind, like, oh, we're going to get paid more for this. We're going to get paid more for this. Okay, we're going to get paid more for that. Oh, do that, do that, do that. Screw that. That's not best for the person. We're not going to do that. And just like he went on a hunt, I went on a hunt too. When I was at the University of Southern California, we had something called live patient exams. Live patient exams where we were to take a patient with a specific problem, and we were to get mentorship on them. So we would have a live mentor come in and talk to us about this person. And we were supposed to switch patients with every mentor. I decided I wanted to see what was really going down. So I kept the same person for all my live patient exams. Same person with back butt sciatica problem. Stuart McGill therapist, right? McGill master came in and said, why aren't you doing this or this or this? It's interesting. The next person, a McKenzie trained therapist, said, why are you doing that? Who told you to do that? Why aren't you doing this? The manual therapist said, why aren't you cracking their back? The next person said, why aren't you doing trigger point, myofascial stuff? The next person said, why aren't you educating them on pain? Ah, same person, 5 different providers, 5 different answers. We're missing something. Frustrating. Even after becoming within the top 1% of PTs in the world here, I still hadn't figured it out. I was confused, right? And so I thought something's missing. And that's why I went to residencies. That's why I went to get specialty training. But I actually left more confused. And so there's so many nights where I was just frustrated by spending all the time and energy feeling like I wasted it. So I was like, something's not adding up. And like he said, spine surgery wasn't really addressing the cause of pain like he thought. So if an MIT neurosurgeon can be led to believe that surgery is the solution, and that's what he believed, and that's why he was doing his surgery. This is the solution. Until he started to recognize some inconsistencies, things weren't adding up. Then what do you believe? What does somebody like yourself, who isn't a spine surgeon, who doesn't have all this background, what do you believe? And what do we expect you to believe? That you need a diagnosis to see what's wrong. X-ray, MRI. Right, again, there are lots of people who he would be booked out, 3-4 weeks, and he would recognize that they canceled the surgery because their pain went away. You don't need an X-ray or MRI to see what's going on because there's something wrong with everybody. And because the spine isn't something you can see, it's sort of scary, it's unknown. But there's so many people with back, butt, or sciatica problems that don't hurt. Lots of people that don't hurt. And so if your neighbor can have arthritis and doesn't feel back pain, then why is your arthritis suddenly the cause of pain? It's because you asked for it, and it's because surgeons get paid to order the images. And it's the most expensive freaking image you could order. The most expensive selfie you'll ever take. What a waste of time and energy for the majority of the population. Part of me, right, although I'd get in big trouble for this, maybe, which is why I find it better to maybe just share with folks like you. All the spine surgery centers in my town, if they knew what Dr. Goobie knew, if they had the wisdom and the foresight to not just settle for, well, this is what I do and I make good money doing it, but to do what they knew was right, and I believe they do know what's right, then they wouldn't exist. What if I sat outside of a spine surgery center? I said, hey, do you recognize that 95% of you don't need an X-ray or MRI? Cancel 95% of the X-ray MRI appointments today and let me help them out. Let me teach them mentally and physically what they can do to help themselves. Don't expose them to radiation. Don't charge them for this expensive picture. Oh, but insurance covers it, so I'll go do it anyway. Crappy logic. You will go get an X-ray, expose yourself to radiation, go get an MRI, waste all that time and energy, go get a spine surgery because it's free versus learning how to fix yourself. I don't know when we got to that point, but that's messed up. And so we have these unnecessary X-rays, MRIs. Again, people who get them, they do way worse than people don't because it freaks them out. Starts more stress, anxiety. It's the opposite of what Dr. Goobie's trying to do. Right? Every time he ordered an X-ray or MRI, right, he wasn't sharing nature sounds with people. He was freaking people out. He was showing people a horror film. And that's exactly why, you can download it if you'd like, I created a Better Than an MRI DIY Diagnostic Guide. Walks through my entire decision-making algorithm so you can naturally figure out the most likely source of your symptoms. Now, why did I do this? I did this because I know in my heart, as Dr. Goobie does, that you don't need those X-rays. You don't need those MRIs. And I thought that if I could create something that was darn good at sharing all the different tests, all the different research, all the different step-by-step processes to figure out the most likely source of your pain, then you could get close enough to the answer at home. And if you got close enough to the answer at home, maybe it would quench your thirst for knowing what's wrong, such you would say, screw the diagnosis, I'm going to cancel my X-ray MRI, and I'm actually going to do what matters. I was trying to help you bypass the diagnostic junk. The X-ray, the shot, the nerve test, this, that. You don't need any of it. In most cases, you don't need any of it. And so that was really the intent. So if I create this thing, then I can help people avoid those things. But because the belief system is so strong that we need X-rays, that we need MRIs, that we need all these different things, I'm not sure the diagnostic guide solved the problem. I can't tell you how many people go through my diagnostic guide and say, Dr. Charlie, your guide was awesome. It told me I had a disc problem. No question. But I got an MRI anyway, and you're right. What the heck? Why'd you do that? You don't need a diagnosis to fix the problem. When you move certain ways, it hurts. When you don't move certain ways, it doesn't hurt. When you're stressed out, it hurts. When you're not stressed out, it doesn't hurt. When you go on vacation, your pain goes away. When you're at work, it's worse. Let's start doing detective work to find some associations between the way you live your life and the symptoms you're feeling. A picture isn't going to do that. A picture isn't worth 1,000 words in this case. It's worth 1,000 different diagnoses which have nothing to do with why you hurt. And so we've been led to believe that the surgery or shots will fix you, but it won't. It won't patch the leaky roof. that surgery shots and pills are better than other treatments. They're not. They're not the ultimate fix. It's not the pot at the end of the rainbow. How do I know? Because I treat people every day who said, hey, I got the surgery and I was good for a little bit and the problem came back. If you've been led to believe that someone's magical hands can cure you, then you've been deceived. If you've been told, like I say, you're out of alignment, knots are all over, your pelvis is twisted, right? Again, you're being told a lie. The medical system has brainwashed you to believe that there's a quick fix that someone else can provide, when in reality, pain relief and healing is in your hands because you created it. I don't want you to think I'm yelling at you. I'm just passionate about this topic. Because you created it. Unknowingly, with your mind, your brain, or your body, you created the problem. And so guess what? You've got to solve it. And if you want to do surgery, it's fine. It's your choice. Can't tell you how many people talk about spine surgery. Surgeon says I need spine surgery. It's an elective thing. You can choose it. By the way, what do people do in other countries? I work with a lot of people in Canada. I work with people all around the world. What do you do in Canada if you need a spine surgery tomorrow and they can't get you in for 6 months? Do those people die? Notice they don't die. COVID. Whole world shut down. We can't do spine surgery. We can't do hip surgeries. Guess what? Those people did just fine. And so it gave us a window, these examples, gave us a window or give us a window into this idea, you know what? If these spine surgeries shut down, if people couldn't come in to get x-rays or MRIs, they'd be fine. Odd how the world went back to operating normal. And all of a sudden, all this stuff becomes necessary after the fact. Right? I have people come to me too. I'm sure Dr. Goobie gets this, or got this, right? Can you guarantee that this is going to work? No, you can't guarantee. How could we reasonably guarantee that anything could resolve the thing that which you created? Would that be fair and reasonable to be like, Charlie, can you take away my pain and suffering that I created? Now, knowingly, you probably didn't do it, right? So again, it might not be your fault, like intentionally. No, it's not fair and reasonable for you to expect me or Dr. Goobie or any other provider to take away the pain that you created. Not happening, sorry. If you put in the work, you do all the things, right? You look mentally and physically, you do detective work to figure out what's causing the problem. You optimize your sleep. You test different motions to find ones that your body responds positively to versus not. This is how you get to the solution. And so the medical system is based out of fear. It survives off of fear, all right? Versus faith. Both fear and faith demand that you believe in something you cannot see. It exists in the future. But if we freak you out enough, if the chiropractor tells you you're out of alignment, your SI joints are this, the osteopath, the PT, whoever, the surgeon with their x-ray, with their MRI, if we scare you enough into believing that if you move your neck, if you move your back 1 inch, you'll be paralyzed, that's a joke. And that your body's completely broken and we've got to fix you, then we've created a really good model based off of fear to charge you a lot of money to not really fix the problem. And so when I moved from a place of fixing to teaching, well, it became less popular, I'll tell you that. How many people want to learn to fix their problem? Just fix it for me. Works really well if it's a car. Doesn't really work well if it's your body, folks. And so I'm going to read a quick passage here that I think is useful, and it really gets to what Dr. Goobie discovered after many years of practice and what I've ultimately discovered too. Obviously, I use movement as medicine, but we also use the mind as medicine because the mind is the CEO. All right? And now Dr. Goobie is helping reduce suffering by shooting 10-hour-long videos of a creek flowing, reducing stress, reducing anxiety, allowing people to live more at ease versus dis-ease. Let me read this passage from a book, Your Subconscious Mind. This isn't new stuff. This is old stuff that because we can't charge a lot for it, nobody really knows about it. Here it is. All right, so hang in there as I read this, okay? This is, I think, page 54. One universal healing principle. This is what Dr. Goobie, again, discovered, as well as myself, above and beyond everything else which impacts our ability to heal, okay? And again, what's cool is that this is within you. This is an internal locus of control. This is you going from a place of, I've got to rely on someone else to fix me, to, can I learn to fix myself? It is a well-known fact that all of the various schools of healing affect cures of the most wonderful character. The most obvious conclusion, which strikes your mind, is that there must be some underlying principle which is common to them all, namely the subconscious mind. And the one process of healing is faith. It will now be in order to recall your mind follows the following truths. First, that you possess mental functions, which have been distinguished by designating one of the conscious mind and the other the subconscious mind. Secondly, your subconscious mind is constantly amendable to the power of suggestion. Furthermore, your subconscious mind has complete control of functions, conditions, and sensations of your body. You want to know why MRIs make people worse? You view a picture, it's like a train wreck. You can't get it out of your mind. It impacts your subconscious mind because you get emotionally involved with that. Will I ever get better? Oh my gosh, look at this, look at that. Oh, I don't know, can this heal naturally? All these things, right? I venture to believe that all the readers of this book are familiar with the fact that the symptoms of almost any disease can be induced in hypnotic subjects by suggestion. For example, a subject in the hypnotic state can develop a high temperature, flushed face, or chills according to the nature of the suggestion given. By experiment, you can suggest to the person that he is paralyzed and cannot walk. It will be so. By illustration, you can hold a cup of water, cold water, under the nose of the hypnotic subject and tell him, this is full of pepper. Smell it. He will proceed to sneeze. What do you think caused him to sneeze, the water or the suggestion? If a man says he is allergic to Timothy grass, you can place a synthetic flower or an empty glass in front of his nose. When he is in the hypnotic state and tell him it is Timothy grass, he will portray the usual allergic symptoms. This indicates that the cause of the disease is in the mind. The healing of disease can also take place mentally. You realize that remarkable healings take place through osteopathy, chiropractic, medicine, naturopathy, as well as through all the various religious bodies throughout the world, right? There's all these different methods. But it is obvious that all these healings are brought about through the subconscious mind, the only healer there is. Wildly different theories. It would be tedious and unprofitable to discuss to any great extent the numerous therapies advanced by different religious sectors and prayer therapy groups. It would be tedious and unprofitable, right? That's why Dr. Goobie got out of it, right? Like, hey, if I stop doing surgery, guess what? World's in big trouble if they find out what we're up to. And it's just wild what's going on out there, okay? And it's unprofitable, right, to not do spine surgery. So it would be tedious and unprofitable to discuss to any great extent the numerous therapies advanced by different religious sectors and prayer therapy groups. There is a great number who claim that because their theory produces results, it is therefore the correct one. This, as explained in this chapter, cannot be true. You are aware there are all types of healing. An Australian physician who practiced in Paris discovered that by applying magnets to the diseased body, he could cure that disease miraculously. He also performed cures with various other pieces of glass and metals. He discontinued this form of healing and claimed that his cures were due to animal magnetism, theorizing that this substance was projected from the healer to the patient. His method of treating disease from then on was by hypnotism, which was called mesmerism in his day. Other physicians said that all his healings were due to suggestion and nothing else. We're doing ART. We're realigning your pelvis right now. Oh, we did that. Did you hear that? This is what happened. Your pelvis went back into place. BS. All of these groups, such as physiatrists, psychologists, osteopaths, chiropractors, physicians, and all the churches are using the one universal power resident in the subconscious mind. Each may proclaim the healings are due to their theory. The process of all healing is a definite positive mental attitude, an inner attitude, or a way of thinking called faith. Healing is due to a confident expectancy, which acts as a powerful suggestion to the subconscious mind, releasing its healing potency. One man does not heal by a different power than another. It is true that he may have his own theory or method. There is only one process of healing, and that is faith. There is only one healing power, namely the subconscious mind. Select the theory and method you prefer. Surgery could be one of them. Shots could be another. Whatever you believe to be true will be true. Right? Select the method you prefer. You can rest assured, if you have faith, you shall get results. Fake knee surgery, just as good as real knee surgery. I wouldn't be surprised if fake spine surgery was just as good as real spine surgery. Placebo, the power of suggestion, autosuggestion. Chiropractor tells you, hey, this is what's going on, and you believe that you need your back cracked, well, because your friend had their back cracked and it worked, and you believe that something's off there, oh yeah, just crack my neck. Better. That's weird. I never could imagine why that actually worked. How is it that all these different theories work? For some people, obviously not for everyone. How is it all these different theories work? We've got all these methods. I could try all these things. No, you've got one. Dr. Goobie boiled it down to having people listen to nature sounds because it could relieve more suffering that way. Reducing stress, reducing anxiety, becoming more at ease, whatever that looks like. Eating healthy food, hanging out with friends, being out in nature, relaxing, feeling the breeze or the sun. It's frying my ears. That is what it ultimately comes down to. And if people are telling you that you're broken some way, shape, or form, be it a chiropractor, a PT, a surgeon, look at this disc, oh my gosh, you can't do this. There are very rare exceptions where we need urgent surgery, folks. So rare that it's not worth getting an image for everyone. All right? And your chance of getting success from any treatment is same, better, or worse, 33.33. And you have to ask yourself, external or internal locus of control? Do you want to go someone and have to rely on someone else to fix you? Or is it possible that you created your pain, knowingly or unknowingly, using your mind and your body? And that it just might be more valuable if you could learn actually how to heal yourself, using power of your mind and movement and natural treatment and suggestions as your solution. Now, it takes a little bit of finding out, takes a little bit of detective work, takes a little bit of effort, takes a little bit of work. It's easy to lay on a table and say, see, they fixed my back, I'm all better. Yeah, you might be all better for now, but we know life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So, you pulled the surgical card too soon. All right, so this is my reaction. I think a brilliant video by Dr. Goobie. And just so telling, so raw, so authentic. Really inspired by, again, his ability to just stand up for what he believes is right. And not only believes, what the evidence is suggesting. These are not just about beliefs at this point anymore, folks. We have plenty of evidence and data to suggest that what he is suggesting is true. And if the world found out that they could heal their pain using their mind, or do one simple motion and get rid of their pain, or just one motion away, right? Well, all the surgical suites in my town wouldn't exist. What a shame that would be. Now, obviously, there are surgeons out there doing surgery on folks who really need them and hopefully turning away the others, but I can't say that I believe that to be true. There's no way that you have a full spine surgery calendar all day, every day, and you're booked out for weeks, and all those people need it. The only reason in that case, which explains why you're sticking with it, being a surgeon, is because you're getting paid to do so, not because ethically it's the right thing to do. And we take an oath, again, do no harm. Are we really living by that, or are we doing more harm? I thought for a while I was alone, right? Every day we fight an uphill battle. I chat with people who say, hey, I would love to work with you, Charlie, but I've got a meeting with my surgeon. You don't even want surgery anyway. Oh, but I got an MRI. They can't even tell you what's causing the problem to begin with. Oh, but this smart person who's smarter than you, Charlie, whatever that means, the pot at the end of the rainbow, the person in their ivory tower knows better. No, they don't. They just know different. And so it's something to understand. And again, I thought I was alone in feeling this way, feeling like, man, I'm fighting this battle. And it's as if surgeons, and other providers, it's as if they just don't care. It's as if they feel fine sleeping at night, knowing that they're doing stuff that's not best for the person. In fact, that's harming people. How is that possible? And now I know there's somebody out there, like Dr. Goobie, who can't do that, who knows that it just tears him up inside, that he feels anger, that he feels frustrated, as I often do, because I have to, because I'm not an orthopedic surgeon, convince people that we can help them. And someone like Dr. Goobie could snap his fingers, say, you need a spine surgery, and people will pay whatever. Oh, you need an MRI? Yep, doctor said I need it. Oh, not going to argue. What orthopedic spine surgeon has ever had to sell a person on getting an MRI? I'm sure there's somebody, but most people know. That's what the smart dude or smart gal said. They said I need it. And if I say you don't need it, it's like, I'm going to get it anyway. Come on, folks. This is a wake-up call. This is a time to say, hey, can we be more accountable? Because if we're not accountable and we don't start asking people these questions, these orthopedic spine surgeons, other medical providers, people like me, chiropractors, ask us, challenge us. Why are you doing what you're doing? If they don't have a good reason other than getting paid the big bucks, and they can't provide you with some type of very clear logic, whatever that means, then it's time to go the other way. And now that I maybe have some authority in saying, because Dr. Goobie said it first, right? Or he reinforced it. The people who would get better with back, butt, or sciatica problems are not the people who get surgery or don't get surgery or get shots or don't. They're the people who live a life that's more at ease, who take care of themselves and are willing to invest the time, effort, and energy, and yes, some money in their own health to solve the problem. And knowing that they need to be responsible for their own healing because they're the reason that they hurt to begin with. Some people will take that the wrong way. Charlie, I didn't create this problem. My mom had it. Well, my mom had it too, and I don't have it. And so we tend to play this victim mentality. I have back pain and nobody can figure it out and they couldn't fix me. And I go here and this doctor said to do this, do that. Yeah, it's because you're paying them. And don't get me wrong, I get paid for my services. But I don't let insurance dictate if I get paid. I just tell people this is what we do. Do you want to learn how to fix yourself naturally using the power of your mind and movement as medicine? Do you want to be an active participant and a student in learning everything that I've learned so that you can heal naturally? If so, then let's work together. Let's work together. I'm not going to fix you. I'm going to teach you what you need to do to solve your own problem. So hopefully this was useful. A little bit of a wake-up call, I think, for lots of folks. And hopefully that video continues to just flourish as it has, because he's using, I would say, a position of power, or not using, in a good way, he's leveraging his position of power as somebody who's highly trained, smart, surgeon, to highlight the fact that this is not the solution, folks. And it's gotten a lot of views. And I hope that it continues to grow because, again, folks like me who are lower on the totem pole because we're just a PT, right, often have a hard time getting that message out. And folks don't believe us. They'll tend to believe a surgeon, especially a neurosurgeon, who trained right at a really good spot, more than they will myself. So props to Dr. Goobie for just being authentic. And Dr. Goobie, if you watch this, I just want to say, man, you were getting bitten by mosquitoes. My ears are burning off. I started when it was cloudy and then it got sunny. I wish you the best of luck, man. And I too find myself having to step away in nature. That's why I have this property. And finding it hard to sleep at night sometimes, right? Because the system is just so messed up. Right? And so time to question, folks. Start questioning. Start asking questions. Start demanding answers. Don't just blindly follow what others say, no matter how educated they are. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, this is Dr. Charlie. That's all I got. Thanks, Dr. Goobie.